Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of Tech Tips. Today we're going to be discussing the M4SD-L sound suppressor. This is a GATE-LOK suppressor like the 30SD, 30SDK, M4SD2, M4SDK that you've probably seen over the years. But this one is a first in the family in that it is tubeless. So this is laser welded, tubeless, lighter weight. If you want to know a lot about the suppressor, like super detail on it, check out our Dwell Time podcast. We'll put a link for that. We did a specific episode with Austin covering all the history on this, the GATE-LOK, tons of sound development. I think all the different prototypes and stuff that we did on it over the years, and basically, borrowing different information to make this suppressor. So that Dwell Time podcast is pretty cool. Check it out. But for specs, so this suppressor is 6.5 inches long, it's 1.5 inches in diameter, and it weighs a mere 14.5 ounces, which is very light for a suppressor that is more of kind of like a full-size 5.56 suppressor that's going to give you really great durability, sound performance, flash performance, etc., but also lightweight. So the quick to touch on the features of it, it does feature, like I said, the GATE-LOK mounting system. This rear is styled kind of similarly to the Dual-LOK family of suppressors, so you'll see that it has the same design patented geometry here in the back. You'll notice that the serialized portion is that portion in the rear, so if there's ever any need for warranty service, if we get a baffle strike or an end cap strike, that allows us to easily cut free all the tubeless feature baffles in the front, kind of requalify this rear part, which is the registered part, and then weld on anything if you would ever need it, which very few Griffin customers ever do use our customer service, which is great. Very few products ever come back, but if they need to for some bizarre reason, we've engineered that on purpose for you. So going forward, this baffle system is a specifically engineered baffle system specifically for this suppressor. This suppressor was actually developed primarily for demonstration to the U.S. military, who is running trials on this suppressor, but we have offered it also for consumer sale. So the baffle system is pretty interesting in that it's really durable, but also incorporates the EcoFlow back pressure reduction. The front flash header cap reminiscent of the Dual-LOK line, you'll notice here. So that has been also added to mitigate flash suppression as much as possible. Also offer those vented slots for that low back pressure and low cyclic increase for the AR-15 type firearm. So just a really overall, really optimized GATE-LOK suppressor, lightweight, but still gives you the durability, great sound performance. And if you want to check out a sound performance video, which I would highly recommend you do, we'll put the link to that also in here, where we compare it against two different market suppressors, and check that out. So that's also cool. So moving forward, the muzzle devices that this is going to fit up to, I have here the whole GATE-LOK line. Now the 30 cal version you wouldn't use with this suppressor, but I'm just showing it off just so you guys see that it's kind of like the 5.56 version, except has a little bit larger boss on the rear for the 5/8 24 thread pitch. Now this would not fit with this suppressor, but that is the muzzle device you need for the 30 caliber GATE-LOK suppressor. The M4SD or 5.56 flash comp, this is a new model. So it features forward vented slots basically for ideal flash reduction. So that one's been kind of restyled. This one also features an internal over travel stop. So for guys that have these suppressors and have had them for years, our shim kit actually includes an over travel stop, but the muzzle devices actually have, some of the muzzle devices actually have these now, and actually all of them will eventually. This 3-prong flash hider is a really great flash hider option with anti-resonance features. The hammer comp is actually what comes with the suppressor. So this little guy is actually what comes with and ships with the M4SD-L. And then we also have a closed-tined flash hider, which is basically like a high quality version of a bird cage, is kind of how I would, or like an A2 compensator, a high quality version of that is what I would kind of, how I would describe that. Now all of our muzzle devices are going to be DLC coded, and then also they're going to be held to a really great tolerance spec for the bore of the suppressor. So you're gonna get really nice fitment, as well as low point of impact shift and repeatable point of impact shift. Now you can run this suppressor on a standard mil-spec A2 birdcage compensator, but you may get a little bit more POI shift with that than you would with our muzzle devices. Our muzzle devices in our testing have exhibited less than 1 MOA of shift, and A2s maybe around 1.5 to 2 MOA of shift in my practical experience. So I'm gonna quick show you guys how to mount this up. You're going to grab the locking gate with your 2 fingers, deflect the spring plate with your thumb, slide that out to open it up. Wanna make sure it's fully extended, okay? Then you're gonna grab your firearm, and this is one-hand attachable. You're just gonna make sure that the gate is lined up with one of the wrench flats. So either the right side like this or the left side like that. So put this on, just kind of twist and pull, and then start putting pressure on that latch, lock it down, it'll click over like that. And you'll know it's locked when the actual spring plate is flush with the rear of the suppressor. So if you have it like this, to where you see a tiny gap here between the locking gate and the spring plate, that is actually not locked. So you want to make sure that, and you'll know because it'll rotate like this. So when it's locked, that little plate snaps over the locking gate geometry, and then you can give it a quick twist and make sure that it's not twisting. So that's how you know it's locked. So then obviously do your shooting, allow it to cool to room temperature or ambient temperature, and then you can one-handed removal. So again, 2 fingers with the gate, deflect the spring plate with the thumb, and pull it off. So like every other suppressor that we've ever talked about on the channel, you are gonna need to keep the bore of the suppressor clean. So we recommend doing that with cleaning brushes, and I'll get to that in just a second. So for maintaining the suppressor, this is a fully welded suppressor. So there's no taking it apart and stuff like that. With rifle ammo, which this is a dedicated rifle suppressor, you're gonna have a fully jacketed bullet, which is going to keep the suppressor pretty clean. However, over thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds, you might see the suppressor gaining a little bit of weight on the postal scale. If that happens, you can drop it in an ultrasonic cleaner if you want to. However, I don't really do that just because there's very little weight gain over time. This suppressor will last about 50,000 rounds if you're shooting it like a normal end user. So we're talking about some rapid semi-automatic fire, a lot of slow rate semi-automatic fire, maybe a little bit of full auto every now and then. So if you're using it like most of our customers are, like 95% of our customers are, then it will last about 50,000 rounds, which is multiple barrel lives of your AR-15. But anyways, for cleaning, you're gonna take a brush. This is the 3/4 inch ID brush. These are available on our website. You can find them really easily under maintenance. And you're just going to put it in the rear and just kind of twist it around and make sure that you're cleaning and getting the carbon off of the bore of the suppressor, okay? And wipe that out with a towel or something, little oily rag, whatever. Okay, so you want to make sure the bore of the suppressor is clean, and then also the muzzle device on the actual host firearm you want to clean as well. So this one is actually pretty gunked up. We've been shooting this gun for quite a while. You can kind of see that there's quite a bit of copper deposits on the outside. And so I would take a brass brush, not a stainless brush. I would take a brass brush and just kind of, go over this and give it a few minutes. There's a front bearing surface, so the front of the muzzle device, there's a ring, and on the rear, there's several rings. And so all those rings are the things that you want to make sure that you're just brushing the carbon off of, all the way around. And so you can either do this with a little brass brush like this, or you can do it on an actual wire wheel, like a powered wheel. I'm a really impatient person, so I like to do it on the wire wheel. Just make sure that you do not use a really coarse or aggressive wire wheel, as that could damage the geometry, which we don't want to do. And that's where if you're really concerned and you don't want to damage it, just stick to the brass brush. But once that's finished, then you can add whatever anti-seize product you like to use. We use a really high temperature anti-seize product here. that's 2000 Fahrenheit rated. So it's really awesome. You can run it on belt-fed machine guns and everything. This is also on our website, same area with the brushes, but just a teeny bit of this, and just kind of running it on the inside of the mounting system. That's pretty much all you need. Or you can apply it to the muzzle device or both, but just a very light coat of that. And that way, if you're doing a lot of shooting, maybe you're shooting like 500 rounds in a day or something like that, once it's cool, obviously, snap that gate open and it'll pull right off super easy, and you don't have to worry about carbon or copper binding or something like that, which I'm sure you've probably read about. So that's the ins and outs of the M4SD-L. Definitely check out the sound testing video, and if you're really super interested on the nerdy tech stuff, check out the Dwell Time podcast. Hope this video helped you guys out, and if you have any questions, contact your customer service. Appreciate you watching.